Hello, YouTube. My name is Yama and welcome back to episode 2. Look at that, our power doesn't work already. With that, we need to get a nice elevated rail system going in around our factory. Let's get into a nice montage and watch the magic happen. Now we get to enjoy the most beautiful part of Factorio Space Age. We're going to space. Building our first space platform, the Spaghetti Bowl. Let's see what kind of a mess we can start making up in space. I think we could do a pretty good job. Now we've got some research technologies we got to focus on because we have nothing in the queue right now. Damage is good because biters have been attacking us quite relentlessly, and we just get some of the other basic stuff out of the way. And now that we've got our platform up and running, we've manually launched some of our high quality items like our rare accumulators and solar panels, and everything that is uncommon we will just use back on Nauvis because our power grid is still struggling. But with that, we still can't stop expanding, making our factory bigger so we can build more, get more power, claim more land. We're still not really pushing the biters back at all. I think a nice passive approach and let them attack us and eat our pollution is the approach we're going to take on Nauvis, but get those flamethrowers working. Winning. Slowly expanding and using all the space because the map is infinite, so we've got to build as tight as possible. That, I think, is the Factorio way. And expand the rail network, make another station down here, get some more ore smelting. That science needs to go much faster. Faster, stronger, harder. Now we take a trip down our beautiful elevated rail system. Our power grid is still struggling. Elevated rail, well, it is a beautiful system to work with. It's kind of cool to be able to do elevated rail. It is a little bit janky to build with. Sometimes working behind and backwards is not the easiest thing. It's still really hard to select stuff behind the elevated rail, but it is still a fantastic feature. Continue expanding our outposts here. Get a little coal outpost going on. Still using yellow belts for everything. There's no real need to switch to faster belts for a system like this. Not enough mining drills anyways, so that is perfect for us. Take our train back. More resources, slowly outposting. Slowly but surely. Got a nice iron outpost there. Bring the train back through the rail network. So we do have a roundabout rail system here. Our main factory has a giant roundabout and everything kind of works from inside like that. It is not the most efficient system, and our power grid is still struggling. Back up on our space platform, we are starting to get space science up and running. We have it automated. We're shooting it down. Our platform is looking... it's looking okay. It's a little sad. It's a starter. It's a starter. You got to start somewhere. But we will expand this into the Spaghetti Bowl it was always destined to be. We will make this fire off as much space science as we could possibly ever consume. I believe it has potential. A lot of the uncommon and rare items in here, like solar panels, benefit a lot better on a space platform than they do back on Earth, since the space platform itself is rather expensive to build. So getting the high quality stuff up on your space platform is definitely worth your while. And here we'll start expanding it out so we can get some more smelting and get that science and building faster, much faster. Because right now it is not going fast enough. Back on Nauvis, we have Korvac's enrichment process going, so we can start fixing our power grid with some nuclear power. I do see a lot of people are trying to figure out how nuclear works now, because in basic Factorio 1.0 you never really had to use it, but now it's definitely a mandatory thing. And look at that, more smelting. Smelters on Earth, and we're also getting smelters up in space. We are factorialing. The platform is growing quickly. Very quickly expanding as we're starting to send resources up pretty efficiently. Now we're still having our power problems. We got the nuclear power up and running, so we have our Corvex enrichment going. We are waiting for our ratio to turn here, so it's 99 of the bad uranium to 1 of the good uranium, and then eventually with the good uranium we will make nuclear fuel, and with the nuclear fuel we will be able to get this nuclear power plant up and running. So one thing with our nuclear power plant here is we are going to probably make the most triggering nuclear reactor that has ever existed in Factorio. You can pretty much put it anywhere. There is no real constraints with nuclear power. There's an efficient way of playing Factorio, and then there is my way of playing Factorio. I think this one is much more fun. So we're just going to shove a nuclear reactor kind of in the middle of nowhere and middle of everywhere and see what happens. As our spaghetti bowl grows as well, we are expanding our left arm here. We are going to start grabbing as much resource as possible. We're sending some back down to Nauvis, and yeah, this is why we're making nuclear power, because we are having a seizure-inducing factory right now. Looks kind of cool with the lights strobing like that, but I think our power grid is not happy. Also looks like the biters might not be happy. They're definitely not winning up there. Science is still teching, so we're still doing that pretty well. We are discovering our next planet, discovering Fulgora. And the trains are whipping around the factory through our elevated rail, and that is looking good. The reactor is now up and running. We are still struggling with our power. Only have 6 of the reactors kind of working right now. The bots will start filling in the gaps here as it turns on. One thing you definitely do want to do, though, is when you place your nuclear reactors, you want to place them next to each other. They get a neighbor bonus. That's really the only criteria with the nuclear reactor. You don't want the fuel to run out, because then it cools down and you got to reheat everything back up again. But the real thing is, real important thing to note, is keeping the reactors together, because you get a neighboring bonus. Keep your reactors together. Everything else can be spread out. It doesn't really matter too much. The heat pipes do have a certain limit they can go. Once they go too far, they start losing temperature, and then the steam boilers don't quite work properly. But that's really the only criteria that you got to consider with the nuclear reactor. So we're going to stick it in there, and we're going to fix our power problems. And we're back with the tech tree, getting some of the basic techs out of the way. Braking force is always a good one. Make your trains go faster. And discover planet Gleba. I know that's everyone's favorite planet. We still need more resources on Nauvis. We are not teching fast enough. Really, can you ever tech fast enough is the real question. So we're getting some more copper going here. Get another outpost. Dump it back on our train tracks. We do have a pretty atrocious rail system. We got the roundabout, the whole factory with the elevated rails. We have a lot of one-way tracks. We have double-headed trains. We have turnaround trains. We're kind of doing a little bit of everything, and I'm kind of for it. It's definitely making an interesting factory right now when we do nothing copy-pastable. Our factory is still constantly fighting. We got trains running over people. We got bots fixing stuff. But realistically, in Factorio, once you have your bots up and running, you essentially can't lose. But it looks like our Corvex enrichment is going quite nicely. Train is delivering the uranium ore, and we are good to go. And with our next outpost here, we are trying to kill some biters. I tried to use these poison grenades. I thought they could kill the nests. I was sorely mistaken. They definitely cannot kill the nests. They can only kill the biters. So we will do the classic turret creep. I tried to do something different. Didn't work. They ate some of my rail. Better luck next time. Yeah, so we'll just kind of slowly bring the lasers up. This is the classic way of clearing nests. There's definitely lots of ways of doing it now, but this is the classic, tried and true. Just kind of bring your lasers up, or your gun turrets up slowly, more and more and more and more, and boom, easy win. So one thing the canisters do is they actually kill the worms. They won't kill the nest, but they will kill the worms. So you can kind of use them, but not the greatest thing to do. So now that we got our outpost operational, we are going to use efficiency modules. So a lot of people don't use efficiency modules, but efficiency modules have two two effects to them. One is they reduce power usage, and then the other would be by reducing power usage, they pollute less. So putting those up on outposts actually makes your outposts get attacked less, which is pretty good for a remote outpost that you're not resupplying very regularly. So definitely a use for efficiency modules now in Factorio. Well, kind of always was a use for it, but now it definitely a good purpose for it when you're outposting. The spaghetti bowl is growing beautifully. We are sending off iron. We are sending off science. Well, we're supposed to be sending off science, but I don't think we're consuming it fast enough. And here we are, traveling up into the stars for our first time, leaving the planet. Our engineer has left the planet. We are going to our newest space platform. This one is going to go to our next planet, so we can get new, more exciting science. And look at this thing build. This is our ship. This will get us to our next planet. This is our starship, the first one we built. Is it efficient? No. Does it look cool? Kind of. I think she's a beaut. Look at that thing. So we have lots of supplies on here. We are ready to go, and we're going to go to Fulgora first. Fulgora, why are we going to go there first? I don't know. I kind of just flipped a coin, and that's where I landed. Fulgora is a pretty chill planet, too, for your first planet. Also gives you a new assembler machine. It's not called an assembler machine, but a machine that you can make new chips in, and it gives a plus 50% productivity rate on them. So it's actually a pretty OP machine for boosting your factory productivity rates. Definitely a good thing at Fulgora. There's also the mechanized armor you can get from Fulgora as well. That can make your character fly around in a jetpack. Kind of cool. We'll see what happens with that as we land on our first planet. So now we've been on Nauvis and on to Fulgora. A new frontier, a new place to make a mess on. This planet is very suitable for me because the whole planet is full of garbage. That's typically how I build my factories. Beautiful. So the first thing you want to do when you land on the planet is find an island that is suitable for you. So you can actually walk around anywhere. You can walk through the oil, and then you just find a planet or a island that is big enough and good enough. This seed, we actually have a couple islands that are very, very good. So if you look at the mini-map, we have one on the top left that's pretty big, but it doesn't really have any deposits on it. And the one that we're on is also very big. That is, we kind of lucked out with the seed with a pretty good starting point. Now on Fulgora, we need to get our basic tech up and running, so we get our electromagnetic plant. That is kind of what we're here for. This that facility will get us crafting increased amounts of chips, which will in turn increase our science amount quite exponentially. A 50% boost is pretty big, but they also have more rooms for modules in them as well, so you can get actually more than 50% out of it. It is kind of a beautiful thing. So now we've got our basic factory up and running. We're going to drop some electromagnetic plants here and start producing, getting closer to science. So automating electromagnetic plants is a good starting point, but we have to get some other stuff up and running. We need to get the science automated, and then we can boost the planet. The electromagnetic plant looks pretty good. They definitely did a good job with the graphics on that one. And power. Always power. I feel like I can never make a factory that has enough power. Just not enough here, not enough in Nauvis. It's just, I outbuild it. But this island is beautiful. You have so much room to build off of. I remember on my first playthrough of space exploration, I started on a very small island. I made a mistake. Definitely look around for a big island and build off of that, because it will pay off in dividends, that's for sure. Now that we got a good amount of trash coming in, we can kind of boost our factory a little bit more faster, getting closer to getting the science automated, getting some of the science itself in the electromagnetic plants ready to go. Got to fix our fluids, and our power is still atrocious, but the factory is definitely growing. We've got our rocket silo up and running. No power, because that's how I play. The science is automated, so we do have the first pieces of science coming across, so we are good to go. It is a little slow, though, so we're going to have to boost that a little bit. And we also need to consider our initial trash piles are not enough. Our initial scrap piles, I guess, are not enough. So we're going to have to outpost a little bit as well. With a train going to another island, because that is the only way to go from island to island. So the devs are forcing people who don't like trains to play with trains. And I would say that it is probably one of the best things in Factorio, to play with trains in Factorio. It is the way. So now that we got our science automated, we are off this planet, off this rock. This is a pretty, one of the easier puzzles to solve, I think, in Factorio. One of the things with this planet, though, is doing it efficiently. There's setting it up and getting your science automated, but doing it efficiently is probably the real challenge on this planet. But we do have the science up and running, and we do want to start teching with it, and our main planet is not teching very well because we have nothing in the queue, so we should probably work on that. But our ship is looking kind of good right now. Full supplies, and off we go back to Nauvis. So the potato, the ship itself, is working well. Flies at a pretty decent speed as well, flying at 150.92 kilometers a second. While it's not the fastest ship in the galaxy, it is the fastest ship in my galaxy. Just saying. So, do with that as you would. So 152 or 150.92 kilometers a second, that's fast enough. Realistically, you do not need ships that go 400 kilometers a second. This will get the job done. And we are launching our science, but we're also launching a couple of electromagnetic plants back to Nauvis as well, because we want that 50% productivity bonus. That is beautiful to work with, but the only problem with that now is we have to weave it into the factory somehow. I think we can do it. I think we have the technology, but it'll be a little bit of a process. The first one, blue chips. Never enough blue chips. I feel like you normally run out of green chips, but blue chips is not a bad one as well. One thing to also note with Factorio Space Age is there is diminishing returns on beacons. So if you put 500 beacons around a building, which you can't actually do, but if you put a lot of beacons around a building, eventually you get diminishing returns. I believe after 3, you start to get diminishing returns. So watch how many you place. And our science setup is, I'm going to use the word sad. It's not quite working properly. So one good thing with Factorio Space Age is sushi science is a lot easier to work with. So I think we're going to tweak our science setup there and make it a little more productive. Then we got our electromagnetic plants producing green chips with that plus 50% productivity bonus. That is going to pay off in dividends. That is a beautiful, beautiful building for a factory. And we need to now start considering our next spaceship. Our next spaceship we are going to make in the shape of a diamond. Why? Because why not? I say why not? So you could probably copy and paste your existing ship design if you really wanted to. We did build one, try to test it, but one of the cool things about Factorio Space Age is building spaceships. There's definitely a lot of fun in building spaceships. It takes a little bit of time. It's not the fastest process. It's a little slow, but I feel like it's a very rewarding thing to do, especially when you get some funky designs going. And back on the spaghetti bowl, we are growing. The spaghetti bowl is getting longer and wider and more. Because why not? We want this thing to be firing resources down to Nauvis for us. It's firing down iron and space science, but we want more. Give me more. It's definitely not getting enough iron. So we need more grabbers. There's no asteroids up here, so you can just keep copy-pasting your design and making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm not sure how big we'll go with it, but it is kind of substantial in size right now. Power is doing okay as well. It's a beauty. The question I would ask you guys is, how big is your space science? And look at our beautiful science carousel. So the old lab setup did not work anymore. It held strong for a while. We kind of made it work, but it was not working. So sushi science carousel it is. We still kept it around the spaceship because it's where our science is done here. But now we're doing a full-on sushi science setup. I'm moderately proud of it. Definitely a lot easier to do sushi science in Space Age than it was in original Factorio. I think. I don't actually know because I never did it in normal Factorio, but I'm pretty sure it is. And we are headed back to Fulgora to build our train system. It's working okay in Fulgora right now. It is automated, but we need more. And we do know that the scrap piles are going to expire eventually, so we need to go back. Now that we do have things automated, Nauvis is working again. We tweaked it. We fixed a couple things there. And while we're working on fixing Nauvis and Fulgora, we need to get our next spaceship up and running for our next planet. The Diamond, as we call it, growing in size. We have a lot of space on Diamond, so typically with a lot of space platforms, you don't have enough space. That is kind of one of the main caveats of space age exploration on your space platform. But that doesn't really seem to be a problem on the space platform. We maybe built it a little bit too big. Sure, we can use most of the space, but it's looking a little bit chunky right now. But that's okay. Should be efficient. Should be efficient. And we will still make pasta here. Even though we have infinite space, we will still make pasta here. But it does look kind of cool. Kind of happy with the design layout right now. And off we go. We are going to bring this thing over Fulgora. Now this is our fastest ship in the galaxy. This thing is hitting 256.9495 kilometers a second at 849 tons. This ship works. This is peak ship building in Yama shipyards. This is a beaut. Look at that thing go. That screams efficiency as we are losing speed because we're not keeping up with our fuel. It's also the first trip, so fuel isn't quite keeping up. Our other ship is going back and forth with science right now, but Diamond is going to deliver us to Fulgora. Now back on Fulgora, we got the elevated rails up and running. So the initial deposits of your scrap are just a starter. They're definitely not going to get you anywhere. They're very small. Maybe a couple 100,000, but the actual deposits on an island like this can be in the millions, tens of millions, so definitely need outposts going. The islands are very small though, so it's a little bit hard to set up a rail. This one is very, very tight. Even if you're trying to play OCD, you kind of can't play OCD when you have to make your outposts here. It's just too tight. So we're going to do a roundabout train because turnaround is not kind of what we want to do. You can definitely add more trains to our system if we do a roundabout train. So we're going to have the trains go around and around as opposed to back and forth. Elevated rails. Probably a lot of people's first experiences using elevated rails. Not too bad to use when you have a lot of space, but things are tight. It's a little bit janky. And there we go. Crossing the oil into our first outpost. That is probably the worst outpost design. It actually doesn't even reach all the wagons, but good enough for now. Good enough for now. And there we go. More ores, more scrap, which will get more recycling, which will get more science. And off we go. And we're back in the tech tree. We need to figure out what we want to tech next, where we want to go, what our future looks like, and Tesla turret. That looks like a good idea. I've never actually used a Tesla turret before, so let's dump that over. Bring one back to Nauvis. This is like a great spot to place our first Tesla turret. There's a pile of bodies in front, so obviously there's a little bit of fighting here. So let's see how she works. Okay, they're still avoiding me. The biters are scared of us. Still scared of us, but we're still effectively killing the biters. Slowly but surely. More and more. The kill count goes up, and they're getting closer. They're getting closer. But I do want to say thank you everyone for watching this video. Episode 2 has been a delight. It's been a delight to slowly expand the factory as we watch our Tesla turret do Tesla things. And until next we meet, this is Yama. Ciao for now.